Happy New Year. Happy 2023 and a blessed 2024 for you. We've made it to the end of the year. It's December 31st. And it's that time of year. You look back, you reflect, think about what's coming. I hope it's a good year, 2024. Haven't actually spent much time thinking about that, been doing more of the reflecting. And here we go. My number one book for 2023. And I'm hoping to make a longer video on all the books that I read and listened to in 2023. A little bit of build up here. It's not what I expected. I went through about 101 books. I think it was 101 in the end, books in 2023. A lot of them were amazing, some amazing reads in there. And this one right here, here's a little sample. What is it? This one was not what I expected. I did not think this would be number one. I mean, not that I thought it was going to be horrible, but I would not have predicted this at last year's New Year. And here it is, the big reveal. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going with the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita. Well, why? This is a book, first of all, I absolutely would weight very heavily on any classics, any really old books. The older it is, the more I think it's amazing because they were the first people to do it. And so anything that stood the test of time, these classics that come to us from thousands of years ago, I just have a huge respect for. This is not the only classic I read this year, or if I could call it a classic. It's not the only old book I read this year. I did go through a number of them, and I never would have thought this would be the one at the top of my list of 101 books. This one made it to the top. I'm still a little surprised by that. I thought it was going to be a lot of obscure Hindu spirituality about Krishna and deities and weird cycles and mythology and stuff, which I'm sure is in the larger text, the Mahabharata and the Vedas and all that. I'm sure that stuff's there, but this one I apparently, and by the way, with the commentary by this guy right here, Eknath Eswaran, he puts in some commentary that's pretty helpful. And one of the points he makes is that this one was actually sort of, you can tell it was kind of added to the Mahabharata much later, or I don't know how much later, but that it kind of doesn't fit the flow so much. Like they just found this other book, said, let's put this in the collection over here. But it's just such a broad, sweeping coolness of everything that you could be interested in. I mean, the whole book is about Arjuna in the middle of a battle has to take action. And what action is he going to take? And so it's all this question of action, and yet the answer is this sort of timeless. He just kind of time stops and he just talks to God for a minute, and he's just like, "Whoa, wait, God, hey, I know I'm in the middle of a battle and I have to kill my family, but let's talk, God." And God's like, "You know what? I'm actually you, by the way, anyways, and I'm everything, and I'm these people that you're fighting. But yeah, sure, let's talk." And he's like, yeah, and you know what? You do have to take action because you can't get around that because that's part of life. So, I mean, how cool is it? Because it's spiritual, it's deep, it's profound, it's really old, it's classic. It's got a lot of the fun, spiritual stuff of timelessness and eternity and things that just kind of speak more to your soul and your intuitions and makes you feel good. But it's also quite practically about life and action and how to actually live in a world where you need to do things that are sometimes not totally clear what to do. So there you go. For all those reasons, I put it all together and it just stuck with me as this one. I just went through the list. I was like, is this one better than this one? This one better than this one? Up at the top of the list, I guess the other one that comes to mind as a real classic was the Aeneid. I did. And these are for the first time reading or listening to these this year. I think both of those were audiobooks. I didn't even really know what I was going to discover inside them. I just vaguely knew about both of them. The Aeneid, old, the sort of origin story myth of how Rome was founded, following the Trojan War, building on Homer and stuff. Also super old. I thought it was great. It is a little bit of like Roman political propaganda, which kind of takes it down a notch for me. Although, you know what? It's cool. Like, you got to have political propaganda too. So it's cool to have an origin story for your nation and stuff like that. Um, so that one definitely comes up at the top of the list. Also, old book. I don't know which one's older off the top of my head. That's the kind of thing that I probably should know. But I'm not going to think about that too. I guess Virgil wasn't actually. He's writing about an older time, but he wasn't actually. He came later. So actually, there you go. This one's the older book. I'm gonna take that risk in saying that. So there you go. It also wins in the older category. Um, I don't know if there was some others, but I don't think this one beats Homer. I still would go with Homer. Anyways, I'm gonna read a little passage, and I hope you enjoy this because it's just beautiful. It's poetic. The sages. The awakened sages call a person wise when all his undertakings are free from anxiety about results. All his selfish desires have been consumed in the fire of knowledge. The wise, ever satisfied, have abandoned all external supports. Their security is unaffected by the results of their action. Even while acting, they really do nothing at all. Free from expectations and from all sense of possession, with mind and body firmly controlled by the self, they do not incur sin by the performance of physical action. And, some of it's a little bit like, analogy, metaphor. It's a little bit of a Rorschach blocked, whatever kind of thing, where you can kind of like project your own interpretation onto it, which, spirituality is like that. In a way, he's not really saying anything meaningful because he contradicts himself. But putting that aside, what I hear in it, what I take away is that we really can't control the outcome of our actions. We obviously want an outcome. We want results. We don't just act willy-nilly like none of it matters. But since we can't control it, and this would be kind of stoic as well. Seneca was another one that I listened to over the last year that is old and good. I think he also made it pretty high on the list. No, I don't know, actually. Seneca's great. But a stoic kind of feeling of like, we can't control the action, or the things that we can't control, there's no sense getting emotionally involved in that. What we control is our actions. And so we can act, but without a sense of like needing it to look a certain way for our own inner experience. I'm not sure if I'm saying it well, but you know what? That's the basic idea. I'm sure you got it by now. And maybe that's something we can take into 2024. Taking action, but with a freedom from the results that puts us into the kind of timelessness of God and eternity at the same time, being completely involved in life. Hope you have that kind of a 2024. Maybe Krishna will come to you and give you a personal speech while you're on the battlefield. I hope it's so.